Welcome to the Get Fit Guys, quick and dirty tips to slim down and shape up. My name is Ben Greenfield. I'm the Get Fit Guy, and in today's episode, you're going to discover how sleep affects your ability or inability to lose weight. Now, it's no secret that not sleeping enough, considered to be less than 7 hours of sleep per night, can cause weight gain, even if you're on a weight loss diet. For example, in research published in the Annals of Internal Medicine, and I'll link to that research over in the show notes for this episode at quickanddirtytips.com. Just go to episode number 299. Dieters were put on different sleep schedules comprised of adequate sleep, meaning 7+ hours a night, and then not quite enough sleep, less than 7 hours per night. With adequate sleep, half of the weight the dieters lost was from fat, not muscle. And furthermore, those on a sleep-deprived diet experienced 55% less fat loss. The sleep-deprived group also felt significantly hungrier, had less satisfaction after meals, and lacked enough energy to exercise. Now, there are a few biological mechanisms that explain why not sleeping enough can make you fat or disrupt your diet. For example, with just 4 days of sleep deprivation, your body's ability to properly respond to insulin signals begins to diminish, and University of Chicago researchers have found a 30% drop in insulin sensitivity caused by lack of sleep. When you're not responsive to insulin, fat cells are far less able to release fatty acids and lipids to produce energy. Blood glucose gets higher, and any extra fats and sugars circulating in your bloodstream cause you to pump out even more insulin. And eventually, all that excess insulin can cause you to begin storing fat in all the wrong places, including tissues like your liver, which leads to problems such as fatty liver and diabetes. But insulin isn't the only hormone affected by lack of sleep. Hunger is controlled by two other hormones that respond to sleep cues, leptin and ghrelin. Now, leptin is a hormone that is produced in your fat cells, and the less leptin you produce, the more your stomach feels empty, and the less satiating a meal is. Ghrelin, on the other hand, stimulates hunger, while also reducing your metabolic rate and increasing your fat storage. And research in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism has shown that sleeping fewer than 6 hours reduces leptin and stimulates ghrelin, which, as you now know, would cause you to feel more hungry and less satiated. And then there's the hormone cortisol. When you don't sleep enough, your cortisol levels go up, and not only does cortisol upregulate food reward centers in your brain that make you want to eat more food, but cortisol can also inhibit the breakdown of fat for energy and increase the breakdown of muscle instead. Now, if all of these hormonal issues from lack of sleep weren't enough of a problem, it's also been shown that lack of sleep causes your brain to be less resistant to the temptation of junk foods, excess calorie intake, and foods you know you shouldn't eat. One study in Nature Communications found that a single night of sleep deprivation is enough to impair activity in a section of the frontal lobe of your brain that controls food-related decision-making. And that's one reason why it's so much easier to mow through an entire bar of chocolate, box of French fries, or carton of ice cream when you're sleep deprived. When sleep deprived, you also have increased activity in your amygdala, which is a reward section of your brain that can make you crave high-calorie or very fatty and salty foods. When you get enough sleep, you can often fight off these desires, but another area of your brain, a section called your insular cortex, gets desensitized due to sleep deprivation. And this means you have more trouble fighting the urges to eat highly rewarding foods. In a nutshell, when you're sleep deprived, you just don't have the mental clarity to make complex decisions with regards to the foods you eat or the foods that you want to avoid. So, if you think you can simply hit the gym to fight off all the weight gain issues that arise from lack of sleep, you may want to think again. Brazilian research has shown that sleep debt decreases protein synthesis, causing muscle wasting, and it leads to a higher incidence of injuries. It also slows production of growth hormone, which can make it far more difficult for your body to be able to build muscle, to recover from exercise, and to utilize fatty acids as a fuel. And then finally, research in the Psychoneuroendocrinology, that's a mouthful, journal has shown that sleep deprivation makes you select greater portion sizes of all foods, further increasing your likelihood of weight gain. So not getting enough sleep basically means you're constantly hungry, you want bigger portions, and you want food that tends to be associated with weight gain. The deleterious hormonal and weight gain effect of those foods is then significantly magnified, and you have trouble putting on the metabolism-boosting muscle that could potentially help you fight off all these issues. So what can you do about it? In next week's episode, I'm going to give you plenty of quick and dirty tips to get adequate sleep. And you're also going to discover why oversleeping can be just as deleterious as undersleeping when it comes to weight gain. But in the meantime, if you have questions, comments, or feedback about how too little or too much sleep can make you fat, you can join the conversation at facebook.com/getfitguy. And for even more advanced information on sleep and sleep cycles and how to get to sleep faster, go to my website, bengreenfieldfitness.com, and do a search for How Sleep Cycles Work. That's How Sleep Cycles Work at bengreenfieldfitness.com. And until next time, I am Ben Greenfield, asking you, what are you waiting for? Go get fit.